Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I look a little pale. I don't know if I have the adjustments down right, but it's been a while since we've done an LP history show, hasn't it? And I think I'm going to film a few episodes tonight because I do need to do my Pink Parliamentarian and Jurassic Dictionary and just all kinds of things, but finally caught up on some other stuff. And as some of you know, I'm still recovering from COVID, and I'm not going to show you the nastiness. I got a Band-Aid on it now, but I've got a big chunk taken out of my arm of that mole that exploded, because apparently skin cancer is really, really common after that. So the doctor was very concerned and went in kind of deep. That's what she said. Yeah. So even though it's been a while, we're not going to just pick up where we left off with the history. We're going to start. We try to stay on the same months just a certain number of time ago. So we're still on 1976, but we're going to be looking at the November-December 1976 issue. Not going to promise to go through it all because I'm not doing quite as many of these history shows. I've got some Matt Walsh ones that are lined up, maybe tomorrow, but I want to do an extensive show on tariffarians. Like all of a sudden, libertarians have just become completely ignorant of tariffs. So I do want to do a show on that. Before we get started, though, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Sean Dempsey from New Hampshire. And if you have not picked up his book, and investing is your thing, and I think investing right now is everybody's thing, and happy Thanksgiving to you, Nathan, as well, because the spam I've been getting on Twitter has just been insane. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Sean Dempsey is not spam. So if you would like to pick up his book, I do have to put on my old lady glasses. It is The Investor's Warp Whistles. He always has the cutest drawings. You can get it on Amazon. And again, he's been a long time sponsor of this show, and I truly, truly appreciate him. Speaking of sponsors, what happened to... I had like this little thing. Hold on. What did I just do? I just created a new scene. You don't need that. I'm trying to add... How come I don't remember how to do this stuff anymore? Okay, main profile. Oh, I have to do it over here. See, God, it's been so long since I have... Is this what I'm looking for? No, that's not what I'm looking for. I got the logo. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. It's been a while since I don't even know how to use my own software. So please subscribe if you have not. There's been a lot of subscriptions. I know the Doomsday Cult, the ones who have cut me out for being the heretic, for actually wanting to follow the party's purpose and bylaws and not turn into a mini Republican Party. I know I'm just so terrible. My subscriptions have actually gone way up. I do need to make up some patrons, and I've had people who have specifically said, well, I am doing you one for one. When you lose a lino, you gain a libertarian. So if you can, please support me on patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I would truly, truly appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at Karen Ann Harlows. Just hit 35,000. And thank you. I'm going to put your comment up, Midwest K Mixes, because it makes me feel good, but I'll be answering your question. But if you can even afford to become a minimal subscriber, it would help. That is one place where I'll be completely honest with you. It did hurt. Taking a stand hurt. Lost a lot of patrons because, I don't toe the party line. I do toe the party line. I don't toe any caucus line. And I am going to do what is right. Cost me or not, I am going to do what I feel is right. It's what I've tried to always do in my life. So I truly appreciate the support. Again, that's patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I'm sorry I'm still like looking at all my controls because I need to move like this little panel over here. I did a presentation for a paralegal association in Arizona, and I had to change my whole setup around, and it kind of threw me. Nope, that's not it. This is what I'm looking. But right here, I'm going to put up Midwest K Mixes comments. Said, I love you, Karen. Honestly, if you ran for LNC chair, I'd help fund you. You're still working on getting employed now. I'm still working on getting employed now that I have relocated to Utah. Good luck on that. Let me give you, I don't know what type of work you do, but let me give you a little hint that helped me. I've been doing a lot of 1099 work, so it gives me a lot of freedom in my life. Of course, it's not steady and you don't have health insurance, but check out Upwork. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I have gotten some good jobs through them. It's upwork.com, just as a tide you over, type of thing. That might help. But let me let you know, I am not running for LNC chair. Here's the thing. I never say never on anything, but that is not my plans. But it was also not my plans to run for LNC secretary again. If they kangaroo court me out once again, I will run again. They'll never get rid of me. This was going to be my last term. So anyone who doesn't like me and you're worried about me for another 2 years, you could thank the people who are trying to screw me over this time. Because I had other plans. I've got lots of other plans. Wayne and I want to get a big motorcycle and just start touring through the mountains. I want a sidecar. He says they're too dangerous. Write him and tell him, get her the sidecar. She really wants a sidecar. So also I'd like to remind you that super chats always help, as do super thanks. If you're watching this after the fact, and yes, I do got my new sparkly blue that's kind of distracted me, and with my I eat glitter for breakfast. All right, let's get on to some history. We're not going to make this a long show because I am going to be doing another chapter. Oh, for patrons only, I'm going to say this. You get sneak previews of Pink Parliamentarian and Jurassic Dictionary. Please go and subscribe to those other channels. Those are other channels of mine. Or if you're your YouTube membership. That's not something I've really promoted, but I have, and you do get bonus content, such as me going through right now The Morality of Capitalism, which is a really, really, really great book. Okay, so we've got the LP news here, and I have to tell you, printing this out was bittersweet, and I'll tell you why. Because the founders would be rolling in their graves as to what's going on with the party right now. Absolutely rolling in their graves. I had 2 LP emails appear in my email box with Trump in the masthead. And it's not that it's Trump. This isn't Trump derangement syndrome. If for some reason we were deciding to get behind Kamala or whatever it was, it's the non-libertarian, whoever the president is. That is not the purpose of a political party. There are plenty of groups that do great work in that kind of thing, like Young Americans for Liberty or Young Americans for Freedom. That's not the purpose of a separate political party. It is not what hundreds of thousands of people gave hundreds of thousands of dollars for this party for. And trying to astroturf the party in that way is fraud. I'll say it. It is fraud. If you want to go try to change the Democratic Party from within or the Republican Party from within, I really do wish you all the best of luck, because we are entrenched in a duopoly and we need people like you. But we also need a Libertarian Party that's about libertarians. And we are not the same as conservatives in any shape or form. Alrighty. So it was a bit bittersweet because I'm like, these were the days when we realized what we were working towards and what our purpose was. So it seems like back in 1976, November, so after the 76 election, we were really happy that McBride got 183,000 votes. We became the 3rd largest political party at that time when McBride got that votes. It says he beat Maddox. I don't know who Maddox was, so let me see here. Oh, of the American Independent Party, who still exists. So, they talked about local races. They talked about the national races. But they have a section in here that says weaknesses remain. I haven't read any of this. I always read this contemporaneously with you. So let's see in November, December of 76 what they said about weaknesses that remain. It says disappointments were also evident. I like the honesty. We have to be honest with ourselves. There were relatively poor results in some states. Many votes were lost because of the closeness of the race between Carter and Ford. Why? Because every election is the most important election of our lifetimes. Don't you know that? You silly rube? You political idiot? I'm being sarcastic, quite obviously. Hence, there was pervasive fear among many would-be McBride supporters that their vote might make the difference in electing the lesser of two evils. As King Solomon said in the Bible, there is nothing new under the sun. Other problems abounded, which were in practical terms beyond the LP's control. Press coverage, generally speaking, was sketchy at best, although favorable and fair stories emerged in many areas which gave essential publicity to the libertarian effort. In addition, the LP faced a scarcity of vital resources, money and personnel, which is a common problem at the dawn of a new political movement. Honest analysis. While I'm thinking of it, because this will help me also, though, in my Jurassic Dictionary show. Right now, you know that I love I love newspapers.com, because you can get some great little tidbits on some of these things that happened. But it's $25 a month subscription, and they do it in like 3-month chunks, like $75 every 3 months, and I just can't afford it. So if someone wants to gift me a 3-month newspapers.com subscription, I would love it. I'd be bringing you stuff on that I would be looking up for party history, but I'd also use it for Jurassic Dictionary to see where some of these really unusual words are used. I do have a subscription to the Oxford English Dictionary, which has a really great etymology, history, and usage section, but that's only $10 a month. So the newspapers.com one is the really pricey one. And you keep doing trial memberships, but you got to use different email addresses and have to remember to cancel it, and I never do. Okay. So let's see here. I just want to just flip through here. Okay. I don't know what this article is about. We might read things that are against some of my current positions. That's the risk you take when you don't read ahead of time. So, the year ahead. The challenge of sustained growth by Bob Meyer. 1976 was a year of impressive accomplishments for the LP. Oh, there's something I need to check up there. Okay, perfect. The challenge we face in 77 is continuing to grow as we have thus far. And let me tell you one thing the LP is not doing right now is growing. We are stagnating. Now, there's many reasons for that are outside of our control. Gen Zers aren't joiners. The membership model might not be sustainable. This had been a talk on the LNC for a while, that the membership model just might not be the way to go. Perhaps membership is at much higher levels being required to be party officers or delegates or something like that. I don't know. That's probably something we need to have some kind of analyst look at. But I want to give you a stark contrast. I think we're under 12,000 paid members now. Don't pay attention. When this got added, it was dumb. And I'm not going to say it was dumb for staff to do it, because the buck always stops with the LNC. It's not staff's fault. They started adding, to make our numbers look better, how many pledge signers there were. And there's hundreds of thousands of those. That number means nothing. The number that matters is the number of lifetime members and yearly sustaining members. And I think we're under 12,000. That is horrific. Let me give you a startling contrast. But I'm going to also give you a reason for it that kind of mitigates. In 2000, we had over 30,000 sustaining members. Now, part of that was due to a brainchild of Steve Dasbach called Project Archimedes. And it was going to bear even more fruit when the next LNC yanked it prematurely. I know Steve's a bit salty about it. I'm a bit salty about it, and I wasn't even around. But if you remember, we were promised Project Cicero or something to that extent. But we've just been getting Project Tank. And that needs to be reversed, or we move to another model. It's like the national debt. We can't ignore that any longer. We just cannot. Anyway, don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. So 77 was a lot of growth. If we don't watch out, the energy of 76 will be gone from the scene. Now I am going to analogize that to today here. If you all want to criticize the campaign, if you want to do so productively to give advice to the next campaign, that is definitely something that needs to be done every single time. But like it or not, who our presidential candidate is our standard bearer for the next 4 years. Joe Jorgensen was the past 4 years. And kneecapping our own presidential candidates, no matter what mistakes you may think the campaign has made, at the national level, the LNC cannot kneecap its own candidates. That is what drives our growth more for the next 4 years. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is in politics. So that's a bad mistake, but they were realizing that here in 76. They're like, we have this momentum with McBride. They fostered that momentum with McBride, and they're asking themselves, as they should, immediately after the election, rather than an LNC member actually making a joke, and this is actionable libel, that our candidate may have caught some disease on the campaign trail. Can you imagine that being remotely acceptable to say? It wasn't said about me, but that's actionable libel right there. Whether you believe in those kinds of laws or not, they exist. Or other higher-ups calling our candidates names. That's not the way. That's just not a professional organization. You do not behave that way. We're a political party, and your state board, your national board, your county board, it isn't about them. They should be very unimportant. The fact is, your average libertarian should not even know the name of the national chair. They should know the name of their state chair, maybe. More importantly, they should know the name of their county chair. More importantly, they should know the names of the candidates that are running in their area and the issues that are important to their area. We're a political party, not a cult of personality. And that's what it has turned into. When you want to be a cult of personality, go do like a Turning Point USA where Charlie Kirk is the face of it. Or something to that extent. That is not what a political party is for. Our carefully learned skills and painstakingly built organizations could atrophy from disuse and neglect. A new party like ours can too easily in America shrink from sight and lapse into inactivity in a non-election year. And I'm worried that that's what's going to happen to us, not in, it would be 2025, which is, non-election year, and then we gear up again for midterms. Next year is going to be critical. It's going to be Very, very critical. To meet the challenge of sustained growth, we must, in 1977, undertake programs in 2 areas. First, in the area of education and recruitment, we must create speakers, bureaus, study groups, supper clubs, and Young Libertarian Alliance chapters. And second, in the area of political action, we must create watchdog communities and participate in referendum campaigns and local elections. Okay, and then they go into it in more full, but that was the capsule, and I absolutely agree with that. And speaking of local candidacies, this is more towards people in Colorado, but I have to believe that you have this in your area. We have something in Colorado, I've mentioned this before, it's kind of my obsession, called local taxing districts or metro districts. Most people don't even know they exist. Those elections, at least in Colorado, tend to be in May. And oftentimes they're unopposed. And you can abolish these metro districts if you get on them. So look in your community. And if you're in Colorado, if you go to LPDC, which is short for the Libertarian Party of Douglas County, lpdc.org, it says run for office. There's a whole pull down for all of the counties, not just for Douglas County, that will show you the hundreds, I think it's actually thousands of metro tax districts in Colorado. We have multiple people that are elected to those. One of them's on our board of directors of Douglas County. Check that stuff out. Usually around April and May also is when your local town councils are appointing people to committee seats, planning committees, that sort of thing. Apply. You might not get it. I apply every time I don't get it, but I'm also Wayne and I do the good cop, bad cop. You guys have heard me yelling at our town council before. So it's really like no surprise that I don't ever get picked for a committee seat. We all have different roles. Mine is to walk into the Castle Rock Town Council building and yell out loudly, "It smells like coercion in here." Where Wayne is much tamer and more polite because he's a businessman and not a big loudmouth like me. Oh, interesting. So during this time in January, so it had been January 77, they were having something called Southern Libertarian Conference. Now, the LP used to have conventions that weren't conventions. I don't know how else to describe it. It would be gatherings, but it wouldn't be business. And our old bylaws used to reflect them, and they called them non-regular conventions. And I bet you that's what this is. It was a Southern Libertarian Conference, January 28th through 30th in Miami, Florida. And had a bunch of speakers. There was going to be an LNC meeting. It was called the Executive Committee at that time. At the Miami Airport Inn. So that's interesting. Okay. Oh, this was big news, I guess, at the time. McBride polled 6% in Alaska now. We've always done very well in Alaska. What's his name? I'm envisioning it. Randolph. Oh, something Randolph was elected to state legislature. Dick Randolph in Alaska. Now, we did not at the time have ballot access or official party status in a lot of states at this time. And at that time, because we didn't, we would get behind a candidate from another party if they agreed to use our platform and things like that. And we had an Idaho candidate we were backing that received 30%. I'm wondering if this was Sims. Let me see here. No, this is after they got ballot status. Larry Fulmer got 30% of the vote. Larry, I don't even know if you're still alive. Maybe you're listening and you're just all of a sudden going, what? Did I just hear my name? Congratulations on getting 30% in Idaho at the end of 1976. And state LPs spread the word. We're just kind of flipping through this, and maybe in some future shows we're going to, oh no, ballot chaos in New Jersey. Oh boy. Oh, I love this. I love this. We used to run a lot of billboards, and there's a copy of one there. And then down at the bottom, there was a fair booth, which we used to do a lot of before COVID. I used to do so much booth work. Like, that was my jam. Like, now, like, I'm known for doing shows and stuff, but my jam used to be outreach booths. I love outreach booths, and it shows one here. There's some commentary. And some pictures and news notes from around the world. Let's take a look at a couple of these news notes from around the world, and we'll wrap it up for tonight, because these shows I like to keep about 30 minutes, and we are just getting, I know, Joe, Nathan, they're getting, it's getting to be just over 30 minutes. So, news notes from around the world. Did you know this? In Pine Island, Minnesota, a man is required by law to remove his hat upon encountering a cow. Don't want to be rude to the cows. Let's see here. New York's daycare program has been criticized by the state comptroller for wasting an estimated $37 million per year. Children who qualify for the daycare program receive 3 times the amount per year of the average welfare recipient. Despite this, a high rate of absenteeism among the children and unused capacity in the care centers prevails in New York. So just basic government waste. Let's see here. Any animal in public streets in Barris, Ohio, after dark must wear a tail light. That reminds me. Oh, God, you guys know I'm terrible. You ever see those sparkle plugs for cat booties? You go right in there, because the cat's always walking around with its tail up, and you go, put that little gemstone right there in the winker. That's funny. That reminds me of that. Well, that is all we are doing, at least for history for tonight. I wanted to get back into that. But my next 2 things are going to be a few things on Matt Walsh, where I'm going to agree with him up to a point, and I'm really obsessed with what and I'm sure other people have thought about it, whenever you think you come up with something original, it just means you're arrogant. Someone else has come up with it. But what I'm like calling like the fourth arm of Fermi's paradox, that I'm beginning to think it is true. I've been listening to all these very depressing shows on the declining birth rate, and really pondering the reason for that, and synthesizing that in my own head, probably completely wrong, with Fermi's paradox. But in any event, I hope you guys do look out for my shows this weekend. Let me stick this one, if I could figure out how to do it. Oh my God, I am so terrible. Nope, that's not it. It's this one up here. Yes, please. If you can become a patron, I'd really, really appreciate it. It'd make me very happy this Thanksgiving. Patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty, or become a YouTube member. You get the same benefits. But that's going to be it for this evening, at least as far as live goes, but there'll be some bonus content going up that I'm going to record either tonight or tomorrow. So have a good evening. Mi guapes de libertad. Bye-bye. Hopefully this is the closing scene.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business, not because